You probably already noticed it on social media.
How to be an alpha male as a Gen Z.
Key traits of a true alpha male.
Andrew Tate, Hamza, Dre Drexler, all these TikToks and YouTube shorts, all dedicated to giving advice to young men.
You need to find a way to escape the matrix.
This alpha male movement of rejecting modernity and embracing masculinity has become so strikingly rebellious and huge in recent years. But what are the reasons for that? What kind of impact does this movement have? How far can it go?
Ask the police what evidence they have against me.
And what does it tell us about us? Is the alpha male a salvation of a society that is losing its mind? Or is he even a danger to society?
The crisis of masculinity grows exponentially.
I see a backlash against masculinity.
It is men that save lives daily and lose their life doing so.
Why is society overly feminine?
You shouldn't be crying. Boys don't cry.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
What if this is our generation's war?
Dude, it's like freezing outside. I don't really feel like working out today. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Be alpha. Let's go! So recently I've been working out a lot. I'm not in best shape or anything, but I work out like 4 times a week, do some push-ups, cardio, and overall just try to improve myself. My daily dose of alpha male content on social media is what kind of keeps me on track when it comes to fitness or upgrading my self-esteem.
Listen to me, you little fuck.
Andrew Tate clips, Christian Bale or Fight Club memes, or just the whole alpha and sigma male philosophy.
Stay hard!
Get out of your head and stay hard.
So many young men like me get into self-improvement in relation to the idea of embracing our masculinity. And of course, this can have an impact on our fitness habits.
Who's gonna carry the bones?
But it can be way more than just about physical health. Being alpha is mostly a mental thing. An alpha male is dominant, confident, successful. He's comfortable with taking high levels of responsibility, so he's pretty much what most people would see as the ideal masculine man.
I think it goes back to these cultural belief systems, and that's been consistent across, cultures from sort of ancient Greece all the way through the sort of culture today. Then that men are, the super providers. They're the ones in control and in control of themselves. Sort of stoicism, this idea of male dominance and sort of male prestige.
This is Wedlock, a British social psychologist who specializes in different topics, including masculinity and personal development.
We're experiencing a crisis of masculinity.
Now, the crisis of masculinity is a term that we get to see quite often on the internet. But what does it even mean? To understand what the crisis of masculinity is, I think we should first understand that an element of this crisis is in fact the disagreements on its definition.
Boys are growing up in a culture that is openly hostile to masculinity.
Men should be more feminine?
Everyone is talking about it, but they're not all necessarily talking about the same thing. Some people say toxic masculinity is the problem, and other people say men are just becoming too weak. And it's exactly this belief that got especially noticeable in recent years.
If you're part of my generation of men, you are weak.
Masculinity as it once was is dying.
Now, for a lot of people, this belief system sounds exaggerated or even toxic. But is it actually wrong to think this way? I mean, we can't deny the fact that the Western culture changed a lot over the recent years when it comes to moral norms or the distribution of gender roles.
We're now in a societal culture where the A and B, the sort of black and white, where everything was so clearly defined and put in place, these frameworks and these boxes aren't housing and accommodating a lot of us now.
Gender roles aren't clear defined anymore. I mean, what makes a man and what makes a woman a woman? Do we still have definitions for that?
Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity.
Do you think there are more than 2 genders?
Yes.
This world is changing every fucking day, and you just gotta keep up with the new times.
So this is Gen. Gen has a YouTube channel in which he posts thought-provoking content by having conversations and interviews about controversial topics.
What are your thoughts on Andrew Tate?
He is a ballless loser.
I think the reason why, masculinity and I think maybe this gender war, if you want to call it, is becoming more popular term is because I think we're kind of confused.
The mansplaining that's going on.
Manspreading?
Men are meant to be submissive.
Many men don't really know how to act. In terms of masculinity, they're not allowed to act in their nature without being demonized, at least in the West.
If any man now behaves in a way that looks like it's toxic masculinity, bang.
But you are so arrogant.
That's toxic masculinity.
That has made a lot of men confused on how to act.
I'm not sexist.
This whole gender confusion and discussion contributes a lot to the rise of the alpha male on social media. But how do we even get to the point where we feel like we need to discuss or redefine all of these gender and societal ideas?
I think a lot of problems that we have in America are because we're in a way bored.
I want to introduce you to the idea of decadence.
Decadence means that we're stagnant and stuck.
You see, according to author Ross Dowdett, we as Western society are currently in a state of decadence, which means we experience a sense of boredom, which comes with a lack of purpose and direction. In his book, The Decadent Society, he isn't specifically talking about masculinity. There is a lot of discussion about economical and political stagnation, but ultimately our decadence is a moral and cultural crisis.
In certain aspects, obviously we still have our problems, but if our problem is about what pronoun that we should call someone, I'd say that we're doing pretty well as a country.
I know, you're so oppressed, my dears. You have to live in the richest, most equitable, most just country in the history of the world.
The breakdown of traditional and social structures is contributing to a sense of rootlessness and disorientation among young people, to the point where there is confusion around the question what it means to be a man. And since decadence is coming with a sense of losing purpose, one of the problems it has led to is the severe increase of mental health issues. Now, mental health has become a serious issue nowadays, to the point where it is said that depression has reached epidemic levels.
I work almost exclusively with young men. What I was seeing very frequently was young men, in particular, coming into my sort of therapeutic space, struggling with the idea of existing. Some men that were just generally anxious and fearful, but they were, at times very, very severe.
My name is David Libaushu. I'm unwell. I need help. I need help.
When you look at the numbers of male suicides, you see the huge mental health problem going on right now. And especially young men definitely need proper guidance.
I have saved hundreds of young men's lives.
Hamza is pretty much the ultimate guide for young men to become alpha.
This is going to be a complete guide on how to fix your life as a young man.
He has a huge community consisting of over 1 million of young people trying to fix their lives and become more masculine. He even describes himself as a cult leader.
Welcome to the cult. This cult of young men that you see before you is all about taking responsibility.
Hamza is teaching his followers how to improve their masculinity by working out, avoiding social media, video games, and even avoiding watching porn. He's kind of pushing this generation's men out of their comfort zone. And speaking about comfort, are we becoming too weak because of how comfortable we're living today? I think a great example of us men living too comfortable is the societal impact of pornography. We haven't been struggling with these kind of problems before, but nowadays with the abundance and comfort of technology and media surrounding us, that has become a serious issue for a lot of young men today.
In the past, our ancestors would maybe see like 2-3 hot girls in their lifetime, but now we can open up an app and see 50 to 100 girls in 2 seconds.
Notice how Hamza and other alpha male influencers are talking about the importance of avoiding porn.
When you take a huge step back from watching porn and masturbating, you stop getting those negative thoughts and you start to feel like the man.
Stop jerking off, stop being a dickhead. We need to grow.
Pornography impacts us on a sort of neurological level in terms of dopamine, like dopamine responses being spiked down, which creates this sort of need for it.
You're essentially blasting yourself with fake achievement and fake dopamine.
And I've had young people in this space openly say, how do you stop?
We live in a time when dopamine detox is a thing because our focus in our modern society has become more on pleasure seeking and self-gratification instead of self-discipline and sacrifice, which would be typical masculine features. Social media and especially porn are great examples of obstacles to the maintenance of these masculine characteristics.
It's just tricking your brain and thinking that you're getting mounts of pussy when you're just, hand on your dick, laying on your belly.
The alpha male movement clearly has a positive impact on people when it comes to self-improvement. It gives many young men an identity and purpose. But let's not pretend that there was no controversial side to it.
I don't think so.
Deeper fulfillment is some matrix shit, bro.
The alpha male principles can be seen as a part of a larger ideology, the red pill.
Red pill, like a small segment of that, I think is, dealing with kind of like this like gender identity for masculinity. In a way, I guess it's kind of like the antithesis to the feminism movement.
The red pill is all about the idea of awakening men to the supposed reality that society is biased against men. The people who don't share that view are simply blue pill. They're stuck in the matrix.
The matrix is trying to control your mind.
The ultimate shit test of the modern world was to make all men blue-pilled and scared of their masculinity.
For a long time it felt like the Western world is slowly breaking away from all kind of conservative ideas. And maybe that's still kind of the case. But suddenly the red pill is actively fighting against that societal transformation. It actually feels like a cultural resistance happening right now.
We are at war.
They've been trying to shut me up for a while. I've been shadow banned forever.
All the social media companies banned him, literally banned him. He had his email gone, his Google gone, his Facebook
gone. So I became the most viral person on the planet with all the algorithms working against me.
13 lawsuits against me simultaneously.
Bro, I think we're getting cancelled right now.
If you're suppressing masculinity, you're going to bring on hard times.
Police in Romania raiding the home of controversial online influencer Andrew Tate.
The Matrix has attacked me.
Andrew Tate may have been arrested and jailed, but he still has many loyal supporters, and some of them are as young as school children.
In school spaces to work with young people that preaching this stuff essentially, like literally, I'm not using that as sort of like hyperbole. It's like they actually are doing that in their school spaces.
I am now the alpha.
The young people that I work with are so like at 14, 15, they are so politically aware and so nuanced. Like I remember at 15, all I wanted to talk about was Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, and that's all you'd get from me.
We already mentioned the demonization of masculinity in today's society, and I think this whole gender confusion in combination with the mental health issues are creating this hype all around the red pill movement right now.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
If this was the other way around and a woman was sat here, you lot would not be laughing. Somehow, if it happens to a bloke, that's funny. That's not funny.
What we're really dealing with when it comes to this, in my ideas, from my vantage point, when it comes to red pill, when it comes to this sort of alpha masculinity, is a need to be heard and understood. That rejection of modernity is often a rejection of the internal space. I feel rejected, so I will reject everybody else.
I feel like there could still be a lot more to talk about, but at the end I see that the masculinity crisis is not the only crisis we need to deal with. It is highly related with our moral and mental health crisis. For me personally, I feel like the alpha male movement helped me a lot with my mental health issues a couple of months ago. It kind of gave me this mission on non-stop improving myself. But we should definitely be aware of the controversial side of this movement. Is the crisis of masculinity and the rise of the alpha male the fight against decadence? Or maybe it's just toxic masculinity that's trying to survive. I am not the one who's gonna decide, but what I can definitely tell you is keep grinding, bruh.
Stay hard, stay alpha.